Well, hello loves, and happy Sunday to you. So today we're exploring more texture. I promised for the next few months to build my texture journal. We did this a couple weeks ago, and this was one of our experiments, and I put it on my cover. And then I began to put down and I'll show you that in just a minute, my tests that we did together. And so I cannot wait to share what I have with you today. It's super simple, but oh, the texture. A couple things before we dive in. I just want to say thank you for being here. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, I hope that you do. It helps me keep these videos coming. And thank you to all of those who have been with me for such a long time. I am so grateful. The other thing is that the stencils that I use today, which I'm not sure what I'm going to use, will be on sale this week, because once I do my experimenting today, I'm going to take my experiments and do just a quick journal page to show you how you can use them just as they are, as our test samples. I love creating texture this way because I can audition it. And so I'm going to show you how I do that at the very end. But first we need to get to the mad scientist part of our texture making. So, all right, so here's I showed you, this is the journal that I said I'm going to fill with my texture. And I took one of the sheets that we did 2 weeks ago, and I'll have a link up above for the last video. And then I took because I just love the paper so much that I knew that I wanted to use them in a project or have them in my collage stash. So I took half of that and then just kind of wrote down what I did, like the colors that I added and the tools that I used and that kind of thing. So I've written that down on the sheet itself, and then I wrote down what I liked about it more versus the others, or how I was feeling about what I did. And I did this one too, and I decided not to cut it in half and use it for the front cover, and I'll end up doing something more with it, but I stuck it to the front cover. Okay, so we're going to do some more pages today that will fill this baby up. Can't wait. Okay, so today I've just got out here, these are 8.5 by 11 sheets of newsprint paper, and I chose a newsprint versus copy paper, which is what I did on the others, just because it's got a little bit of color in the background and it'll help you see what I'm doing maybe a little bit better. And I have samples of what I've already done. And we're going to add color to it and, that kind of thing. But for now, I want to show you what I have been playing with. Okay, so let me just grab. So one of the things that I discovered in one of the lessons that I did for the membership was baby powder. And I'm going to use black gesso. You can see the samples that I have are white gesso, but I'm going to use black gesso so that you can see how I'm putting my baby powder down. And this is just plain old, regular old baby powder, nothing fancy. I'm just going to put a little bit of black gesso out here. And I'm just grab a brush. And I'm just going to put some gesso down. Get it all covered. And I don't want to skimp. I don't want to have a thin coat of gesso. Oh boy. Get down there. I want to have a nice thick coat of gesso because that also adds to the texture. And this is just regular gesso, not extra super heavy thick gesso, just my regular old gesso. And I'm not being particular here at all. I'm going to take my baby powder now. I'm going to open it first. And I'm going to put some lighter areas. You can see how me doing it on black will help you see. And then I want some thicker areas. And then I'm just going to take my brush and just kind of pounce it down in there. Some of this is going to come off. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit. I'm going to put a little bit of gesso over here, and I'm going to put a little water into my gesso, just a tiny bit. And come back and just pounce right into it. And that bottom layer is going to stick. So there you'll have, and you'll see once I bring out the examples that I've done. And then I can come back in on the areas that I pounced over and maybe just add a little bit more, and I just kind of push it down in there. And then maybe I'll add a little bit more water to my brush and kind of pounce over this area. You can see it kind of smooshing out a little bit. That's okay. And then I will just leave it and let it dry. Like there's a big thick blob right there of gesso. I'm going to really put that in. Put some baby powder there. Maybe I'll add a little bit more up here. Okay. And that will create some amazing texture, and you'll see in just a second. And you can, like I've kind of got a little splotchy in the four corners. You don't have to do it that way. In fact, maybe I'll just add a little bit more right there, because I will end up using this for something. Push that down in there. Okay. Now, second example, I'm going to do the same thing. Put some black gesso out here. And I've got another product. It's calcium carbonate. And that's a kind of a thin coat, so I want a little bit more. I want it to be nice and thick and juicy to hold all the goodness. This is calcium carbonate. Now, this is what they use to make chalk paint. And it's not harmful or anything like that. It feels just like baby powder, just maybe a little bit finer. And I'm going to kind of do the same thing. And they give you very similar results. This one's maybe a little bit thicker. I'm not sure. It's pretty close to being the same, in my opinion. This stands up a little bit more, like the baby powder kind of really just kind of disappears into the paint. This will give you a little bit more texture, I think. Kind of come back over a little bit. Some of these thicker areas. Just kind of stick it down in there. And yes, some of this will come off. Okay. So that's calcium carbonate. And whenever you're experimenting, make sure to write down what you're doing, because this and the baby powder looks very, very similar. Now, before we move on to the next texture technique, I want to show you another way that you can use I'm going to show you I'm going to use both of these. I'm going to use my regular gesso. I'm going to put regular gesso out here. Let's see, I'll put this one over here. And I can take my baby powder and dump it into my gesso. And I'll grab a palette knife and mix it together. And it makes it kind of chunky. And you can apply it that way as well. I actually prefer dropping it in to the paint because it's more unpredictable. But it gets this real kind of chunky feel. And I don't mix it too much because it takes all the chunks out. Now the baby powder is softer. It's not as chunky as the calcium carbonate. So I'll put some calcium carbonate in here. And I'll mix this together. And this doesn't dissolve down like the baby powder does. But this is a great way if all you have is just regular gesso and you want something a little bit thicker for some more texture. Can you see how thick and chunky that is? I'm going to zoom in. That's about all I got. Thick and chunky. And that's a little bit smoother. So I'll take this onto a piece of my newsprint. So this is the calcium carbonate. It's real thick and chunky. It's not smooth, which is amazing texture. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. And this is a different look than what we did by dropping it into the paint. So now let me put the baby powder down. And it's chunky, but it's not as chunky as the, and I could try to put some more. I'll try and put a little bit more baby powder in there. Baby powder is meant to, not, to be good to our skin, to our baby skin. So I can make it a little bit chunkier, but it continues to kind of dissolve into the gesso or paint, and you can do this in any type of paint. But it's going to give you lots of chunky texture. Okay, so I want to write that down. This is carbonate. Now, next technique. I was thinking, because I was only going to do one. I was only going to do this one, but I have so many techniques I want to share with you. I'm like, we'll be here all year. So I'm going to do a second one. Okay, tissue paper is, and I'm starting out with the easy ones that don't take a lot of supplies, because sometimes sometimes the best things happen when we have to make do with what we've got. So this is just regular tissue paper. It's not wet strength or medical exam paper. It's just regular gift wrapping tissue paper. And this works the best for this technique, I think. And I am going to make sure that's in the camera. Got my fluid matte medium out here. Okay. I want to have a lot of fluid matte medium down. And I'm just going to I tore that piece in half, and I want to just smush it right in here. And this makes some of the best texture. And we can control it exactly. Like if I want to have it smoother over here and really textured over here, I have full control of it. So put that down in there and kind of smush that in. And if you're not able to smush, make sure you've got plenty of matte medium, because that's going to help you kind of move it around, get it to where you want it to be. I got black on my fingers. And then you're going to come back in and pounce over it. And the pouncing is important because that's going to get it to lay down, adhere to the surface. And so I've got a little bit of space right here. And you can layer. I mean, you could have some really intense texture if you wanted. So I'll just pounce right over this. Okay, that is tissue paper texture. Look at that. Oh, that's going to be amazing. Amazing. Now, I'm going to grab, I tried wet strength tissue paper and it it was, and I'll show you an example of it. It was really too hard to kind of manipulate the way that I wanted to after, especially because I started with regular tissue paper. This is medical exam paper, and it's better. Lots of matte medium. Same process. And I found that if I crumple it up first, it helps. And if I work in smaller pieces, it helps. So I'm going to kind of bounce this down. It's just because this is thicker, it's stronger than regular tissue paper. And so it doesn't fold and kind of melt into the paper like the tissue paper does. Okay. So I think you can see how thick this is. It doesn't melt away into the background as much, and there's, it serves a purpose like that if that's the kind of texture you want. And sometimes it is. So I want to kind of push it down because it doesn't, I don't want like having little bits of things sticking up. I want to be able to go over it with my paint and get some good texture happening. But I think you can see there how big the paper is in comparison to the tissue paper. So, okay, that is tissue paper texture and medical exam paper texture, and I want to make sure to write that down. Okay, here's my dried examples. Now I did this one on wet strength tissue paper because I wanted to see how it bends and folds, and it's beautiful. Now you'll notice that I'm getting some residual from, this is baby powder. This is baby powder. This is the calcium carbonate, and so that's baby powder texture. This is calcium carbonate texture. You see the difference? And some of that's coming off too, which is okay. And I want to make sure to get off the powder so that once I get making, adding color, it's not going to change the color of my paint too much. So that's the calcium carbonate. And then here's my dried tissue paper. This is tissue paper. And then this is wet strength, which I did not like hardly, like not much at all, because it was so hard to get down. And then this is medical exam paper up here. Okay, so now let's do some aging. I'm going to start with some raw umber. Of course I am. Got my raw umber out here. And I'm going to wet this. I'm going to start with the tissue paper first. I'm going to give it a wet. And then put a little water in here as well. And I want a 1-inch, nice big 1-inch flat brush. And I just want to get all of the raw umber down into the grooves because that's where the magic happens. I want to really scrub it in there because that shows off all the texture. Now I just want to wipe it away. You can see here how this part is lifting up, which does not make me happy. But oh my goodness. And then I'm going to wet my towel. Or actually, I think what I'll do, I'm just going to put a little bit of water in a couple spots. And come back in and kind of pick some of that up. Now I can get some lighter or some darker areas. And I can even, so I'm going to spray this from far away and just get some sprinkles on there. And then come back with a full towel and pick that up. And now I've got these like sprinkled bits of goodness. And black looks really good on top of all of this too. So like I could add some areas of black. I can come back and dab up some of those areas. And you get some variation and some really good aging effects. So I'll take some of this over here and then I'll bring some up here. That's my black. Look at how grungy good that is. Love it. Love it. Okay. So that's our tissue paper. And you can continue to add color on this. And color and color and color. Like I'm thinking, what color could I add? But I'm going to set that one aside. You get the idea. Okay, this is our calcium carbonate. Let's go with our baby powder. I'm going to do the same. I'm not going to wet this completely. I'm going to wet my raw umber over here on my palette. Wipe it down. Now, the sample that I'm working on had some raw paper parts underneath. And that only adds to the effect of the texture. But I have not been able to find a texture that kind of equals the baby powder. It gives it this real fine, kind of blobby texture, and I love it. And then I'm going to spritz this with a little bit of water. Look at that. I think you can see all that texture. I hope you can. So good. And I love that speckly feel from the baby powder and then from on top of that the water. And then we can come back in again and highlight specific areas with some black. and make it even more grungy. Like this section right here just makes me happy. It makes me, all of it makes me happy. Okay, this is calcium carbonate. Feels pretty good. We're going to do it again. And I'm just continuing to pick up. I can come back in and scrub it. And oh my, that is so yummy. Now I'm just going to spritz this with a little bit of water. And it's a lot more chunkier than the, oh, goodness gracious. I actually almost like it darker because it takes away the texture. So I'm going to add some of that back in. A little water on there and bring that back out. So you can take it both ways, darker or lighter, depending on what you like. Look at that. Now let's just do this one real fast. This is done on, this is baby powder on medical exam paper. And I wanted to see how the medical exam paper would hold up. Under, like, would it wrinkle? What would it do? Would it add to the texture? That kind of thing. Ooh, well, that's delightful. It's tearing apart here, but now I've got some effects of the baby powder on there, and some of it is just from, I think, like the wrinkle of me doing that on the medical exam paper. But that is worth it right there. Look at that. Ooh, and I'm wearing holes in it, which kind of makes me happy. It's like areas that didn't get covered with medium. I kind of like that. Okay. That is so grungy good. Here we are. My favorite is the calcium carbonate. And, well, I like this too. And I like it all. I guess my least favorite is just the baby powder, but it's still, I don't know, I like it too. And baby powder, I think everybody's got some baby powder. So that's the thing. I'm trying to give you some texture making that you don't have to go out and buy a gajillion things to get some grungy goodness. Okay, so I'm going to clean this up, and then I'm going to work one or two of these into a really quick journal page so that you can see it in action, and why I like creating the samples versus doing it directly onto my piece, because then I can make any adjustments that I need. Like I can choose exactly what I want. I want only this much, and I get to audition it. So, okay, my loves, that is our experimenting today with texture, and more samples to add to my texture journal, my texture encyclopedia, and just simple. I'm looking for simple ways, especially as we start on our journey of texture making. I want it to be things that you already have. And if you've been around me long enough, those things are just staples in how we create. So I I hope you enjoyed the techniques. I hope you enjoy the journal page that I put together. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. But I hope that this inspires you to, or it sparks your curiosity, because curiosity is where all the good things happen. And that you get in here, into your little space, or what big space, whatever space you have, and you just experiment and you be that mad scientist, because it's so, so good. You get so many ideas and it's just good for your soul. All right, my loves, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and I hope your Sunday is restful and peaceful, and I hope that you always, always know that you are loved.